me. Cause what's mine is ours. This shit belongs to the army. Gon' need to see them Benjis. We hungry for them tendies. Give us this day our daily bread. Show us the fucking money.
This ain't financial advice, just a little DD to help you think twice. We hold for each other, eyes on the prize. The new floor's 200,000 times 5. I joke, I kid, no, I don't know a damn thing. I'm as simple as Bubba trying to sell some damn shrimp. Can't spell IQ, can't even count to 10. And I eat crayons every day with my friends. I think about Kenny in his ivory tower, shaking in his lily boots as the apes overpower. Must suck to lose to monkeys, so dumb. But you made your bed and you got nowhere to run. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he makes the prize fall. And he watching as we keep on more. You forgot we on the floor blind, 2 hours old. Lie, stop breaking the law, asshole.
Show us the fucking money. It's time to lay it on me. Cause what's mine is ours. This shit belongs to the army. Gon' need to see them Benjis. We hungry for them tendies. Give us this day our daily bread. Show us the fucking money.
Stupid ass, throwing all my money at the streets like a quarterback. Every don't mean a thing, water up a duck's back. Apes not leaving nothing till we get the money stacks. Monkey see, monkey do, monkey holding to it blue. Monkey magic coming through us monkeys on the moon. Double digit IQ, tendy loving bamboo. Right here we got more smoothies than a jumbo juice. Probably thought you coulda made us sell all the gooder. In hell we maybe woulda, but we more than the Buddha. The floor 6 figures ain't selling for less. You took on the ape nation and you're fucking with the best. We hold for each other, my sisters and my brothers, the fighters and the lovers. We don't need another fan because we huddle through hard times and struggle. Cause we're just a couple of dumps in the rubble.
Show us the fucking money. It's time to lay it on me. Cause what's mine is ours. This shit belongs to the army. Gon' need to see them Benjis. We hungry for them tendies. Give us this day our daily bread. Show us the fucking money.
Well, what is going on, Moon Gang?
Oh, brother.
Hello. Welcome to episode whatever. It doesn't really matter, but hey, happy Wednesday, or October. I think we're in October 6th. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. I don't know if it's your morning, your afternoon, your evening, your night. Doesn't matter what it is. I hope you're having an absolutely great one. And we are here to talk kind of about everything. We're going to be talking about stocks. We're going to be talking about crypto. We're going to be talking about corruption. We're going to be talking about my eyebrows. We're going to be talking about this mental spiral I've been going through on the stair stepper. That one, we're going to have to save that for right before the bell. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. So with everyone joining in right now, we do have some pretty important stuff to talk about as it relates to the markets, your money, my money, what's going on with the community. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. The 5 things you need to know before the stock market opens today, Wednesday, October 6th. Stock futures sync as October's wild swing continues. Now, a reasonable question is this abnormal? Is it normal? What's going on? Was this somehow predicted? Well, I do want to point you in the direction of this resource called Equity Clock. You could just check it out. Just Google Equity Clock. This is the seasonality over many decades, various decades, really a couple decades, but a lot of data points of seasonally how the stock market behaves. And if you take a look at this, the first third of October is commonly rough. We know the entire second half of September is rough. Then it's a little bit choppy. The first third of October is rough. And once you get to that, which I would say roughly in a couple days, like maybe this time next week or something, from there, look it rips all the way until basically Thanksgiving, takes a breather, rips all the way from there until the start of November. So seasonally, when we're talking about the S&P 500 IWMQs, right here, like what we're seeing is seasonally kind of on par, just so everyone knows. Once again, this resource is called Equity Clock, and you can just kind of see the seasonal headwinds, tailwinds. It splits it up by overall indices. You can go into the various sectors. Pretty cool information in here. I'd recommend checking it out. All right. 10-year Treasury bond yields top 1.55% ahead of jobs data. So just remember, yields are very important to look into, but just remember for us, like the way we're really going to be interpreting this as yields go up, that through kind of a series of steps ends up having a negative impact on big tech high growth stocks, just so everyone knows. So yields up, that's going to push bonds down, and there are various steps involved, but really check out the cues, check out these big things, Apple, Microsoft, the big tech leaders. Those end up getting hit because it does, in a certain sense, make high growth tech a little bit less favorable, as in you could get money elsewhere. Near 7-year high oil prices stoke inflation concerns. We know about inflation. We know that the Fed's been talking about it being transitory, but like once in a while we hear a comment where they're like, well, we kind of underpredicted what was going to go on, and hang on. They seem a little skittish, but more so with oil. And I want to talk about this a little bit separately. It seems like we had that crazy oil run, and it really related to CEI and the excitement. And I'm fully aware that CEI got its teeth kicked in yesterday. I want to be talking about that a little bit separately. Give it the time, because I know a lot of people paying attention have a lot of questions about CEI. So we're going to save that just for a little bit. Biden concedes $3.5 trillion budget bill will need to be smaller. So this is kind of important. Let me just go into this. President Joe Biden has conceded the final version of a $3.5 trillion with a T package of social and environmental initiatives with only Democratic support will have to be considerably smaller. In virtual meetings with House Democrats this week, Biden said he reluctantly sees a price tag between $1.9 trillion and $2.3 trillion. A Democrat familiar with the session said on Tuesday, Senator Joe Manchin, a high-profile Democratic holdout, wants the bill to be closer to $1.5 trillion for passage. Democrats need every vote in the 50-50 Senate and all but 3 in the House. So that's it's possible. They do have the votes there, and especially with the 50-50 in Senate, obviously the vice president won't be able to vote. I don't want to cause any flashbacks back to our like government class. That's what they're looking for. So it seems like kind of as this story develops with the trillion package, the $3.5 trillion package, every time I hear about it, I feel like they just keep lowering the number. But something to pay attention to. And remember, this is a distinct issue relative to the debt ceiling. Remember, debt ceiling, October 18th, that's the date Janet Yellen keeps shouting out. And we have various people continuing to talk about it. And it is a big issue. If we default for the first time ever on our debt, who was saying it? Some big political regulator person saying it could cause a stock market breakage, quote unquote breakage. I think that's a bit extreme, but it would not be a good situation. So definitely pay attention to this, the bill that they're trying to go for the budget. But I would, in the short term, it does seem as if this debt ceiling is a bit more important. Speaking of which, that's number 5. Democrats consider filibuster change to hike debt ceiling. So once again, this is really getting into the nitty gritty of how our government functions. And we could talk about this filibuster thing. Yesterday, there was talks about reconciliation. It's another process that one really kind of more so impacts the Senate and not really the House. But there's a lot of just these weird rules that the U.S. government implies. And right here with the debt ceiling, they're all going to come into action. These are all distinct, by the way. Filibuster, reconciliation, they're all different pathways and also just like normal voting. But anyway, getting rid of the filibuster would lower the typical 60 vote threshold for a passage to 50, with Vice President Kamala Harris breaking any tie. A simple majority would be enough for passage. Republicans want Democrats to utilize the reconciliation process, what I was just speaking about. They aim to use it for the budget bill to act on the debt ceiling. So that's your quick breakdown. With it, I want everyone to be informed about what's going on politically. With it, I think sometimes there's some erroneous assumptions. I'm not here to really share my own political opinions. I'm here to share, to the best of my ability, an unbiased political opinion, because it can clearly have an impact on the market. I have seen people right, left, in the middle, everywhere, the entire political paradigm. Do not let your political bias get in the way of what's a reasonable, logic, intelligent, highly informed trade. Those are two distinct things. If you hate one side, love the other side, or whatever it is, if you file somewhere in the middle, when it comes to the market and politics, you need to be as unbiased as you possibly can and take in every piece of information for what it actually is. And I know that's way, way easier said than done, but it's something that everyone really needs to work on, because like I said, I've seen people let their own opinions and their political stances get in the way, and it ends up like getting them in quite a bit of trouble. All right. Very, very quickly, I'm going to keep this one short. Stocks moving. One of the big movers, and it's getting a lot of chatter on various social media, specifically Wall Street Bets, Palantir. Palantir surges 8.1% in pre-market following the news that it won an $823 million Army contract, almost $1 billion, to provide Gotham platform, an operating system designed to optimize defense decision making. People have asked me about Palantir often, and I like it. Just from my background in technology, the data analytics that Palantir offers, I would argue, is a couple years ahead of any of its competitors. It is a highly, highly impressive technology stack. It started almost a decade ago by Peter Thiel, but recently IPO'd, I believe, in 2020. Maybe it was 2019, but it's been around then and IPO'd. Very, very impressive. About 60% of its revenue comes from government contracts, specifically more so U.S. government contracts. I really like it. I like this is right into my wheelhouse of understanding who's a good tech player, who's maybe not up to par on it. And I like Palantir. I think it's a great long-term investment. And I do find it interesting that right now, like what I consider to be a good long-term investment is getting into the world of, I guess, what media would call a meme stock. Because right now it is, like I said, getting quite a bit of attention on Wall Street Bets subreddit, StockTwits, FinTwits, like all these other things. A lot of people talking about it. And this is a big deal. $823 million contract. But surprise, surprise, one of the first people to speak out against it is Jim Cramer. The memers can't resist Palantir on a contract from the Army. Sheesh. Enough already with Palantir. One contract does not a contractor make. Kind of weird, speaking like an old-timey person here. Makes sense because he is an old-timey person. But I mean, I like it. Like, do I somewhat agree that, like, if this was only their only contract, well, of course that doesn't make the company. But Palantir commonly gets contracts. Commonly, and it does well with these contracts, and it gets them, the companies, the initial companies, to re-sign on those contracts. I'm a fan of Palantir, and I'm going to be in Palantir for the long haul. And just so you know, we could take a quick look at it. PLTR closed out yesterday, 23.21. The announcement comes through. Currently trading at 24.80. Would love for this to recapture 25. Then I'll be watching 26. Then 27. Oh, that's easy. In terms of technical support resistance, 25, 26, 27. After 27, I'm once again watching 30. So for Palantir, PLTR, I like it. I'm bullish on it. Been in it. Just so I'm trying to be as transparent as I possibly can. But for me, I'm not actively trading it. By no means am I actively trading it. Palantir to me is a good long-term, long shot play. Well, I shouldn't call it a long shot. I think it's a well-designed, well-functioning, strong, fundamental business. I like where they're going. It's in a hot sector. It has a good management team. I like Palantir. I'm personally bullish on Palantir. But once again, I am in no way actively trading it. Before we get into a little bit talk of Gensler, just very quickly, let's run through the overall market since I showed you some of that seasonality stuff. Right now, what was the title of this one? Stock market is looking spooky. It definitely is looking spooky. It looks like once again, we are pushing this lower trend line, and it's become very important support around 427.5 up to 429. That's clearly support for the S&P 500. So we're looking for this to hold. If it breaks down, I'm then watching 425 from there, 422, looking for, if the demand shows up, if the buyers step up, then I'm looking for hopefully this breakout, basically 436. But those are the major levels of support resistance I'm watching on the S&P 500, which remember is an ETF, an exchange traded fund that tracks 500 of the biggest companies within the US. And right here, it's at that level. I have no idea if it's going to make or break it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know any of that. But what I do know is if it breaks, I'm looking for more downside, or if it breaks to the upside, well, then I'm looking for a test of this. Whenever I see a level of support and resistance, in all reality, and I don't think anyone out there actually knows if it's going to break or not, or if it's going to hold, no one knows. All you can do is sit back and place your bet, keep your risk very small, and like fingers crossed for the reaction that you're looking for at any major technical level. In terms of the Qs, remember we were talking about the yield shooting up. That's typically not good for the Qs. The Qs yesterday closed at 357.4. We're right now at 354.4. So we're down $3 in the Qs. Tech heavy ETF. We have support at 352. If it breaks below 352, maybe 349, but I'll mainly be watching 345. Just to shout out here, obviously, this has been downtrending ever since September 7th, and it is, in terms of the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, a very common technical indicator that maps out momentum. It's pretty oversold. So when we get to one of these levels, I think the odds would be in the favor of a bounce, but just because the odds are in your favor doesn't mean it has to follow through that way. And finally, in terms of the Russell 2000, tracked by the ETF IWM, also kind of gapping down. We're seeing weakness across three of the major indices this morning. Support at 218, currently trading at 219 in pre-market. Would love to see this breakout of basically 220 and a half, and from there 224. If it does break down from 218 today, I'll then be watching basically 216. Specifically with IWM, and I know I've said this a lot, but I just want to reiterate it for any new listeners, viewers. The reason we specifically track this one is because AMC happens to be in it, one of the 2,000 it's tracking. But not only that, it's actually the biggest stock within it. It has the most weight at 0.5%, which when you're talking about 2,000 things, 0.5% weight is actually pretty considerable. All right. What do we have here? We have a Greg in here. All right, got rid of him. So back to the action. Let's talk a little bit about Gensler. So I made 2 update videos yesterday, and I want to talk about that because I made a mistake in one of them. But we talked about Shiba Inu, and that was on one of the videos. And the other one was AMC GME. And the AMC GME one, I talked about Gensler, and basically David Scott, a representative from Georgia, was just going ham, and he was basically like all against social media and basically accusing it of ruining the fabric of America. And I don't know. I explained all my thoughts on that, but then there was new information that I just wanted to go over. I thought, like, Gensler, I mean, he's the chairman of the SEC. He's definitely going to have a strong impact on, like, what we're arguing for is more appropriate regulation and actually following through on some of the regulations that currently exist. This is written up in the Wall Street Journal. It's a great read. I'll post it, or actually I already tweeted it out if you want to read it yourself. I just want to kind of go over some of the highlights. SEC's Gensler aims to save investors money by squeezing Wall Street. I like that title. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler is working on tougher rules for high-speed trading firms, private equity managers, mutual funds, and online brokerages. His main targets are what he says are profits and salaries earned above what a purely competitive market would allow, known as economic rents. I hope that we address and try to lower the economic rents in our capital markets. So basically he's saying, hang on, like, we're going to look into people who are kind of unduly making money in not so much of a competitive environment. Maybe they found a loophole, or they're breaking a regulation, or they're doing something that is just not overall a positive player for the market, is probably the best way I could articulate that. Mr. Gensler developed a reputation as a hard-charging regulator during his 2009 to 14 stint as chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC. I just want to point that out because I didn't know that he did that previously, that he was the chairman of the CFTC. And this is kind of how he created his team, which is definitely a unique take. Rather than selecting senior staff from inside the SEC or large corporate law firms, as many of his predecessors have done, Mr. Gensler has filed important positions with academic and policy advocates for progressive lobbying groups. Perhaps the biggest fight he has picked is over the plumbing of the stock market, in which a handful of large firms execute a majority of individuals, investors, and trades. This is 100% calling out Citadel Securities and Virtu. I mean, we're talking about stock market plumbing. That's exactly the world of market makers, dark pools, exchanges, the DTCC, the NSCC. This is exactly what we're talking about, and they just put it all under the umbrella of stock market plumbing. So this is from, speaking of Virtu, the second biggest market maker. This is a comment from their CEO. Concerns about concentration and conflicts are theoretical. The actual results are overwhelmingly beneficial to individual investors. This is a red herring. This is intellectually dishonest. This is whatever in that realm of statements you want to say. This is just flat out wrong. WRONG. This is wrong. This is incorrect. This has been disproven by many, many people. This is how they get to this argument. Whenever you're, in a certain sense, evaluating the efficacy of payment for order flow, you're looking at the execution of the trades for the clients, commonly retail traders, such as you, such as me. And the way they measure it is basically based on the spread. Is it an improvement from the bid? Is it an improvement from the ask? Can you get a lower fill? Can you get a higher fill? You're always comparing it to the spread, the bid, the ask, also referred to as the NBBO, the National Best Bid and Offer. Well, this is where it gets interesting, is if you look at the studies and the data cited by Citadel Securities, and in this case, Virtu, they're going to say, hang on, we are giving price improvement, which is good, that sounds awesome, relative to the NBBO, the spread. The issue here is you can't stop at chapter 1. You gotta flip the book over to chapter 2. And when you look into chapter 2, it's useful to understand how the NBBO got to the position that it's at and kind of who controls it and what are the outside influences on it. Very, very important. And right now, when we have such a large segmentation of retail traders, basically they're off in their own la la land because of Citadel Securities, because of Virtu. When all the trades are being funneled there and really not many are happening on a lit exchange, what that does is it inherently ends up widening the spread, the NBBO. So because companies, these two major market makers, which I would strongly argue is a duopoly, because of their segmentation of retail trading, they've widened the spread. And then with all the trading on it, they're like, well, hang on, we're good because we're better than the spread. So really, the measuring stick, which is a terminology that Gensler has used in his testimony, that they're using, it's antiquated. And on top of that, it's a worse measuring stick because of the system that they've made. So basically what has happened is these market makers have made a worse system, and then they're like, well, relative to the worst system we just made, we're giving you better fills. So like, why is everyone complaining about it? When in reality, there's a very strong academic argument of, if you didn't make the system worse to begin with, well, we wouldn't have such a bad spread. So that's kind of, it gets very, very into the weeds, but hey, that's stock market plumbing. This is, and I know sometimes it's tough and whatever, in a tweet or something like that, you don't have enough characters to explain and express a very complex idea, but sometimes that's where we're at in this fight. In terms of AMC and GME market fairness and all the doors that this has opened, we've been doing this now for 10 months. If it was that easy as like ABC 1, 2, 3, we would have been done months ago, but we're not. And it's because the system we're fighting against is very big. It's politically motivated. It's very well funded, and it's super, super complex. So sometimes you got to put on your thinking cap and really dive into it, besides just like taking things at the title level, the superficial level. Anyway, but Mr. Gensler and other critics say payment for order flow possesses a conflict of interest for brokers and reduces transparency in the market by channeling data away from exchanges, exactly what we've been talking about. He said in August that he was open to banning it. That's pretty crazy. A remark that sent shares of Robinhood and Virtu falling sharply. This is coming from Gensler himself. You got some big actors whose entire business model in the equity market space is based on current rules. Sorry, this is not by Gensler. This is by Chris Iacovea. They're going to do everything they can to not have the change in their business model. Obviously, why would someone like Virtu or Citadel Securities want anything to change when the current system is making them net profitable to the tune of billions of dollars a year? Why would they ever be like, yeah, no, that's cool. Let's just change it. Like, they already got the current system figured out. Mr. Gensler is also scrutinizing the new generation of brokerages like Robinhood, for various reasons. Like, obviously they're going to take the stance of the gamification. I'm going to take the stance that basically Robinhood, the company, starting out, truly, I think they had good morals. I truly, truly do believe that Robinhood took their first step with the goal of democratizing finance. Unfortunately, because of various twists and turns, they've become a monstrosity that I think is damaging to the retail trading public. While these developments can increase access, increase choice, and lower costs, they also raise new questions about potential conflicts, biases in the data, and yes, even systematic risk. So calling out payment for order flow, this is from Gensler, calling out payment for order flow as potential systematic risk. And this isn't that crazy. It's banned basically in Australia, UK, and Canada. So this is not like some like hot gossip. This is not the hot tea that all the kids are talking about. This is not new. Like various other countries who run very legitimate exchanges and markets were like, this is stupid. We're not going to do it. And I would argue that the US is actually even a little bit behind in all of that. So with payment for order flow, lit exchanges, I highly argue that all of you, especially if you're in the US, because most likely if you're out, it's already going to be banned in your country. So if you're in the US, trade on a lit exchange. If you want, like most of these, if you have a pro platform from Fidelity, E-Trade, TD, any of those, you just got to check out the routing. Find where the routing is and send it to the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, Amex, IEX, all of those. Lit exchange. We want our orders not to be facilitated by market makers. They need to be facilitated on a normal lit exchange where we don't have the conflicts of interest, where there's better price discovery, when we're not damaging the spreads. There's various reasons, and I wholeheartedly argue get your trades done on a lit exchange. I think one of the easiest ways to do it is through Public. This is a phone app. You download it. They don't have options trading. This is just stock trading. They're about to roll out crypto trading. It's free. I'm currently doing a transfer. I deposited money. I initiated it on Monday. It hit it on Tuesday. So the money getting into the accounts very fast. I'm still waiting for my transfer from Webull to Public to actually finish. But when you do it, you sign up, $70 of free stock, free trading. You're not lining the pockets of Ken Griffin, of Doug Sifu. We got to stop lining their pockets. So if you're a petty person like myself, that's great. If you're more so fighting for the morals of a good overall well-functioning market, well, right there, they're not doing payment for order flow, and all your orders get sent to a lit exchange. But hang on, we are not done with Gensler. This relates a little bit more to crypto. Gary Gensler says that the SEC won't bring in a China-style crypto ban, but Congress could. So he just kind of commented that like it's not up to him, but he himself is not looking to ban it. And this is coming on the back of Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, also stating that we're not going to ban it. So we're seeing two high-level people up in the world of Wall Street saying, no, we're not banning crypto. And it's kind of no surprise that crypto's running like crazy. Bitcoin pushing 55,000, Ethereum pushing 3,500. SHIB is still running. I'm going to talk a little bit about SHIB separately, and same with Doge. Don't forget with Doge, I mean, this is awesome. Huge news about Doge, Dogecoin fans. As we work to accept online crypto payments, now you can buy AMC digital gift cards up to $200 per day with Dogecoin and other cryptocurrency using a BitPay wallet accepted on our website, mobile app, and in theaters. So this is awesome. Back in May, I called this out and everyone's like, why would you do that? Dogecoin is like a hype. Why would we ever do that? That'd be so damaging. Look, I mean, I was obviously me. It's just me. I'm going to be petty. So I tweeted that out. I'm like the receipts of when I first tweeted this in May. And I think it's a smart move. Why is it a smart move? Because the main thing I've learned over the past 10 months is you cannot undervalue the power of a community. AMC has a huge community. GME has a huge community. You know what it does? Doge has a massive community, and it's just now we're all like in the exact same boat together. The community linearly is growing, but the power of it is growing exponentially. I think this is a very smart move because you now have so many people invested in the success of all of these things simultaneously. I think it's an incredibly smart move. Anyway, this is running. Speaking of SHIB, I do need to correct myself. So yesterday, Shiba Inu. I made a video on that yesterday. If you want to see what's going on, check this video out. It's posted to this channel. The one thing that I need to like correct myself, and this is a small one, but whenever I notice I do something wrong, obviously I want to correct myself. Throughout the video, I messed up a crypto coin's cryptocurrency coin versus a token. I kind of inverted them. So just so you know, the easiest way, cryptocurrency coin, you would say, is basically like, it's basically blockchain versus like a spin-off of the blockchain. So a token such as SHIB right here, it's ECR20. So basically it's going to be Ethereum compatible. So that is technically a token, while Ethereum itself is a cryptocurrency coin. So I know it's a small mistake, but whenever I notice a mistake that I make, I just want to clarify it, because obviously I'm trying to get across the best information I possibly can. So just know, in the world of cryptocurrency, coin versus token, it's a small difference, but a difference nonetheless. All right. Now, all right, we did all of that. We talked about what's going on there. How, oh man, the bell's about to open. So once we get going on the day, I'm going to be talking about CEI and PROG and a little bit more on SHIB. But before we get in, just so you know, the short interest on AMC today is 20.56%, utilization 86%, and the shares on loan 114 million. In terms of GameStop, the short interest is 15%, utilization 37%, and shares on loan 8.8 million. And with all that being said, ding, 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 the casino is open. Let's get rocking, folks. Let's get rocking. We're going, we're going, we're going. All right, we're locked and loaded. We are locked and loaded. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right. What else? Let me see if there's any breaking news. Just as the market's getting going, AMC looking hungry today. I like that. I like that. All right, coming out of the gate. So a lot of these things gap down today, but already we're finding buyers. Already we're finding buyers. Matt, does Public have a desktop version? It does not. It's a phone app that you download. Same with Voyager. Oh, speaking of which, if you're trying to get on the crypto insanity, check out Voyager. It's right above my head. It's free to sign up. As soon as you trade $100 of any crypto, you get an extra 25. All right, but let's see the bullishness that we currently have going on. I really, really like this. Whoa. I thought it was going to kind of dance around a little bit at opening, just from people a little unsure. I mean, it's still red, but people are showing up. They're buying the dip. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. I'm in New York and try to buy SHIB on Coinbase wallet. The miner fee is like 95% of the conversion of ETH. Any thoughts? So on mine, I just want to clarify, I never actually bought it myself. I was gifted it on Voyager for filling out a questionnaire. They gave me about $200 worth a while ago, which got me 31 million. You can easily get it on Voyager. You can get it on Coinbase Pro, and you can get it on Binance. You're in New York. So I thought Coinbase wallet. I didn't think you could get Coinbase in New York. You might want to check out Gemini, but I don't know if it's on Gemini. So for you, you might want to get the US version of Binance, Mark. Yeah, like it's weird. New York is probably the hardest state to actually get crypto in. So if you happen to be in New York and you know the best way to get SHIB, please help out Mark. Please comment it. New York it's notoriously difficult to do whatever you want with crypto because the local government, the New York state government, hates crypto. It's a pain in the ass. But Coinbase Pro and Gemini are probably your two options, Mark, I would guess. I know Voyager will not work in New York. Webull has SHIB. So it really doesn't, because it doesn't function as a wallet. So you have that fancy IOU, which is problematic to every... I'm obviously by no means a crypto expert. I'm looking to learn, especially now that things like... Well, we have GME talking about the NFT still. And then we know that AMC is expecting Bitcoin, Doge. So like, I feel like for me being a member of this community, it's on me to learn more about crypto, but I also just like crypto. I really, really do. I'm slowly and surely growing my crypto account. I think it's a great money-making opportunity. And there's going to be a lot of people who within the community, I see it more in the AMC community, who get like really, really pissy when you talk about anything else. Folks, if you're of that opinion, I need you to know that you're in the minority. You really are. Most people here are able to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. They can be in the fight in AMC and GME for market fairness, transparency, and they can also still have the simultaneous interest to make money in other good trades. That doesn't mean we think everything's like AMC or GME, but if you're talking about like a good example like CEI, you don't want to just YOLO into everything. You don't want to put every single cent to your name in one thing because there's still risk involved. And unless you're comfortable with like blowing up your entire account and losing all of your invested money, there is an argument to having some diversification. With me, am I probably, in terms of a good investment, I guess, advice, over leverage on AMC and GME? Yeah, I probably am, but I also just like really like them. But with it, that also doesn't mean that I'm 100% into it. And really one of my biggest pet peeves is if you're specifically an AMC supporter, you have absolutely no right to call anything a distraction. I don't believe that anything is a distraction because it's all like a learning opportunity. You learn how to look into fundamentals, you learn how to look into short interest data points, you learn how to do research, you learn how to read technicals. I don't think anything's a distraction, but if I were to play that game with you, especially the AMC supporters listening right now, AMC was the original distraction. GameStop is the one that started all of this. Shout out to Keith Gill, the guy who got this all running. AMC is very much the original distraction if you're going to play that game. You do not have a leg to stand on. So when I see these things of it being a distraction, not being a distraction, why are you looking into other people's pockets? It's highly inappropriate and really just comes off as being selfish and jealous. You have to look at PROG on Ortex. I've never seen anything like it. So I saw that PROG has a huge short interest, 99.6% with a utilization of 99.9% and shares on loan of 22.3 million. Once again, that is for PROG. Is a squeeze getting handed to us on a silver platter? Not financial advice, but I do not see the Ortex number like this since GameStop. PROG has an incredibly high short interest. I don't own any of it, just so everyone knows. In terms of price action, I would love to see this close above yesterday's high, which was $1.56. I like this shoot up. It didn't gap fill. We still have this gap, so I'd be a little concerned about that. But I kind of want to see this valley formation. So for me, PROG would be pretty interesting. A closing above, especially on nice volume, $1.56. Once again, that's for PROG, which has stupidly high short interest. Free throat. What's going on, Riley? I have a list of people I'd love to get drunk with. You're quickly moving up on the list based on your rhythm during opening song. Does it get better or worse? I think it was safe to say in my college days I was a bit of a wild child. So if you catch me in those environments, it can get a little bit. It could get a little bit antsy. And I've been asked my fair share of times to please exit the bar. And then they find, I don't know where they grow these individuals, but there's a couple times that I see bouncers that they're like half the size of a legitimate mountain. I'm like, where do they grow you? And then they just pick me up like I'm a petulant child and just throw me out. But I don't know if those days are fully behind me, but it's been a while. In fact, ever since I started my whole, I don't know, I'm mentally spiraling and not in the way you think. I'm admitting this right now. I am mentally spiraling. So I sat down on Sunday, a couple days ago, to do a video, and I wasn't happy. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to make the show. I need to how can I help the community? How can I do better? How can I make bigger waves? I'm here with a little paddle board and just hitting it in the water, and I'm making some waves. I need to go bigger, better. I need to drive a Mack truck off of a cliff and make a freaking monsoon. And by that, I mean a tsunami. A monsoon's a completely different, I guess, nature-based event. But anyway, don't correct me on that. And I sat there and I was like, Matt, if you're going to make a change, you got to make a change with yourself. Change starts from the inside. You got to go to the gym. It's been about 1.5 years, 2 years since you've done anything physical in your life. And I was like, okay. So I go out there, I see the stair stepper. I'm like, ooh, my old friend, you are looking hot. I hop on that stair stepper. And then at the end of the stair stepper session, I realized that they rank you. Like there's a leaderboard of like the top 5 people. And I'm like, okay, like let's go. And the day one, I'm already like number 4 on the leaderboard. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is something I can look for. I'm a person that very much sets goals and works for that goal. I get myopically focused. I definitely have a personality trait that is, it's not hard for me to become obsessed with things. And when I become obsessed, it's myopically focused. It's just how I function. It's always how I function. Sometimes those things I get obsessed with are good, such as growing a YouTube channel. And other times, like when I was a wee little youth, it was things like RuneScape, where I just probably didn't spend like my time the most appropriately. But anyway, I see this leaderboard and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is cool. This is something to do. And I made some jokes about it of like bettering my life. But recently, over the past 2 or 3 days, out of the top 5 spots, I now have 3 of them. I'm 3, 4, and 5. I do not have 1 or 2. And when I talk about me mentally spiraling, I don't know if anyone here has seen the movie Mac Gruber. I'm not talking about Mick Gruber. I'm talking about Mac Gruber. It's specifically MAC. It's a kind of a comedy thing. But anyway, if you see that, you're going to know the whole license plate reference of like where I'm kind of going here. But the number 1 person on the stair stepper, his 3-letter whatever pseudonym is DSS. And when I say that I'm mentally spiraling, I spend way too much thinking about DSS. Like I seriously do. I'm like, what's he like? What's she like? Like, what are they doing right now? Is it a Citadel plant sent here to screw with me and knock me off my game? Is it the boy from Bulgaria himself? Is Vlad on a daily basis flying out from California to my gym in Philly just to do more steps with me because he knows where it puts me mentally? It's just, what's their life like? What are they doing right now? I have missed hours of sleep over the past 2 days thinking about the life of DSS. And one of these days, I will track down this individual. I will take the trophy from DSS as this gym's best stair stepper. But anyway, that was a bit of a spiral. Let's go back. I don't know what question was asked that got me there, but just so everyone knows. I invested in Olaplex. What do you think, Olaplex? Here, let me write some of these down just so we can do them a little bit more efficiently. Olaplex. All right, sweet. I got mine on crypto.com. That's for Sheeb. Shout out Crystal. Bro, you have to take a look at Prog. We did that. Prog, crazy, 99%. Made the transfer from our original Robinhood on Friday, completed already this morning. Love in Public and Voyager. Shout out Lady Ape Lana, I appreciate that. David becoming an astronaut, shout out to David. Coinbase is for suckers. Coinbase Pro is where it's at way lower fees. So I mean, I'm on Coinbase Pro, so I don't even know if I've been on Pro now for so long, I don't even know the differences. Where are we at? What's up with Folky Inu and 8 Nation to the Moon? I have never heard of Folky, but Shiba Inu has been absolutely crushing it. If you're wondering what the deal is with Sheeb and like what's going on, that was the video I posted yesterday of just like kind of giving you a quick update. And I also did an AMC GME update. Remember, just in terms of the YouTube algorithm, I'm posting on 2 channels, Matt Kohrs and Kohrs Light, Kohrs with a Z. I just need the multiple posts a day so I don't get dinged by the algorithm. Matt Gruber, don't play like homie, and homie, don't play like that. What's going on, David? What a movie. FAMI. All right, we'll do FAMI. FAMI. Still, GameStop has essentially done nothing with their once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, while AMC has legitimately turned their business around. I mean, GameStop's making some pretty serious pivots, I would say. I mean, has essentially done nothing with their once-in-a-life opportunity. I don't. What do you mean? GameStop was going to be non-existent. So I would probably disagree with that. But once again, it's just, I would just never say anything's a distraction. If you're here to fight within the ape community, that's great. But that doesn't mean you can't trade other things if you're trying to learn a skill set of trading. I think it's a very, I don't know, just a like unthought out thought process. Like whenever I see this whole thing of this is a distraction, that's a distraction, I don't, right away I'm just like, oh, okay, like this person has not spent more than 2 minutes of their life thinking about what they're actually saying. Please explain wash sale, got stuck with one for 6K, sold and bought the cash, no margin. How can they make me cover a loss in a new purchase? So Tony, to my understanding, wash sale is more so related to what you can and can't write off with taxes. So if you sell something for a loss, technically you could deduct that from your, like, whatever your like tax bill would be. But if you buy that stock again, that asset, that equity, within 30 days, you can no longer write it off. That was my understanding of wash sale. It sounds like you might be talking about, you said you got stuck. So wash sale, whenever I think of it, I always think about like tax implications. Should I transfer out of Webull? Is Webull still a trusted company? I mean, I don't know about trust. It's just we know that they do payment for order flow and they're getting your orders fulfilled on Citadel. I don't want my orders fulfilled on Citadel. I haven't checked in on the stream in a while, but glad to see all as well. Shout out D-Train. Suggestion for brokers that work outside of the US. The ones I hear about most commonly, if you're in Canada, I hear a lot about Wealthsimple. If you're in the UK, and I believe also Mexico, eToro. I hear a little bit about Trading 212. I hear a little bit about Revolut. Those are probably all the first ones that come to my mind. Please explain why price of SHIB is different on multiple platforms, because a lot of them probably are not like functioning as a true exchange. Like if you're looking at it on Robinhood or Webull, you don't actually get the SHIB. Like you're buying it from a pool that they have, and it's not a wallet. And it's like before when we were talking about stocks being kind of like an IOU, this is even more of like a funky IOU. Like you don't truly have the ownership. I would never, ever, as soon as I learned about what was going on, I'm never going to buy crypto on things like Robinhood or Webull. If I buy crypto, it's from an exchange. It's from a true crypto brokerage. It's so much better because you actually own it then. Multitasking is an art. Some cannot do it, Matt. Shout out Matt Stuck Suspenders. Hey, I just blew up my account. Austin, I am very, very sorry for that. I hope it was a small account. I myself, that's not, I don't think it's a rarity. When I was learning to trade, like when I was getting going for my first couple years, I blew up multiple accounts. And if you haven't heard that term before, blow up basically means you take an account all the way to zero or pretty much to zero to the point that you're just not going to recover in terms of percentage gain basis. If you start with $1,000 and you run it to one, you need a hefty percentage to get it all the way back up to that $1,000 just for you to be break even. So with it, I mean, you're not alone. I've blown up many accounts, and the only, I guess, piece of advice I would give right now is you got to learn from it. If you make the decision to continue trading, do not repeat your previous mistakes. If you keep doing the same thing and you're looking for a different result, I believe Einstein referred to that as that's what insanity is. You got to do something different, learn from it. This is why I'm a big proponent of trading journals, writing down what happened, what didn't happen, your thoughts, your entries, your exits, your trading plan. No matter what you're in, you gotta have a trading plan. And actually, this is currently a perfect segue to talking about CEI, currently trading at 117, down 24%. CEI has fallen from grace. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red days in a row after getting rejected in the mid 4s, currently trading at 1. So if you were in at 4, You're currently down 75%, and we have some things to discuss about it. We have some very, very incredibly important things to discuss about it. How is actually the best way to start this? Okay, CEI, it's in the oil and gas production sector. For me, I thought it was going up because I thought it was a highly shorted stock, and I knew that oil was running. Like, we're at over $80 a barrel. I was just like, oh, oil's running. This is a highly shorted stock. The people who bet against it just made a wrong call, and we're seeing the price action. So we would commonly just like take a look at the technicals and the Ortex data related to it. I was not under the impression that there was an entire narrative and storyline under it. I just didn't have the time in the day to look at it. People asked me about it. I did the technicals. I said the entry was around 160. I was trying to tell people not to chase, excuse me. And obviously, yesterday, the wheels really came off. A lot of people are pointing the finger at Carisdale Capital. We are short CEI report available on their website. This one has something for everyone. Death spiral financing, a fake CFO, delinquent filings, fired auditor 3 weeks ago, insolvent energy assets, and the saddest family of entrepreneurs in the clean tech vaporware space. So this was posted yesterday around 11 a.m. and it did seem roughly like the time that they threw that out there. If we go to CEI, roughly when they put this out here, 11 a.m., right when the tweet came out, it sold, it halted, it sold more, kind of bounced, and now we're continuing to sell off. So a lot of people are pointing out, be like, whoa, okay, like they put this out, that's the thing that moved the market. And new to me, he's huge. I don't know how I didn't know about Zach Morris. The followers of Zach Morris were very much in CEI. So I feel like this is like a strong community that was like hurt by the opposite trade. And I know many other people. I'm sure if you're watching and you're an AMC GME, there's a lot of you who are also paying attention to CEI. So with it, I kind of want to just, I guess, let you know what's going on. If this is true, and that's a huge if, I don't know. That's bad. The company deserves to go down. If this is true, huge if. And then we have other people who I'm assuming have looked more into it than I have, saying a lot of it, as in what they're saying right here, is a lie. I don't know what the truth is. I just don't know. So I can't comment on something that I don't have more knowledge about. But it does seem like there's two factions who are ones saying, wait, this company is like, it's being crushed. It doesn't deserve this. And then there's other people saying the company's basically a lie, like with a lot of fraudulent things going on. And I'm not the person to sit here to tell you the truth about it, because up to this point, I just knew the short interest data points and I just knew the chart. I didn't know the underlying story of what's going on. I'm assuming someone listening right now is paying attention to CEI and you're feeling some pain. With it, just to clarify, I never had a CEI position. I was never long. I was never short. And even saying this right now, I have no intents to actually trade it. If I do end up trading it, I will let all of you know. I have no position. I'm just trying to be as unbiased as I can and express the story for what I perceive it to be. And unfortunately, that story is very, very murky right now. I don't know whose side is quote unquote right, wrong. I don't know. But what I do know is whether right or wrong, there's two big lessons. Well, okay, I guess two big lessons. First of all, don't chase. Whenever I see something's really, really moving, I still try to get it as close to support as I possibly can. So anyone who is just buying this rip, your most reasonable risk point was down here at $1.40. And if you were risking $1.40, you would have gotten out yesterday, and hopefully you got in as close to $1.40 as you possibly can. But all of a sudden, if you're getting in at 2, you're getting at 3, the people who bought above 4, that's what's creating bag holders. That is not good. I preach this every single day. I beg of you, do not chase stocks. And you could define chasing differently. To me, I think it's easiest to think about of how far away is your risk. And if it's very far, well, that means you take a smaller bet because you don't want to lose a lot of money. You always need to look at your risk first. Don't get starry-eyed and look only at your gains. Be like, well, if it runs to this, I'll be this rich. Your first question should always be, if this goes south, such as CEI has, how bad can it possibly go? I think that's a very good lesson that I think a lot of you are probably like, oh, no, that makes sense. But it's a completely different thing to actually execute on that in reality. So it's one thing you're like, oh, no, Matt, that's obviously a clear lesson that we should all use. But it's different in real time when you're actually betting money. I get it. Emotions take part. It's a big thing. So learn from it. You gotta learn from it. And the other thing I would say here of the fact of don't trade is like the other point I really, really want to hammer home with everyone listening right now is please have a trading plan. Please, please, please have a trading plan. Don't just buy and then think you can diamond hand like AMC and GME and think, oh, okay, like no matter what, like if I hold it long enough, it's going to come back and I'm going to make money on it. That doesn't necessarily have to happen. So you have to have a trading plan. What is your entry criteria? What is your exit criteria? And in terms of exit criteria, you have to define it two separate ways. What's your reward and what is your risk? If it goes to this or does XYZ, okay, that's my risk. I'm going to get out. Or if it does the opposite, are you going to go with like a time? Like I want to be in this play for X amount of days. Do I want this percentage return? Am I just, there's so many ways you can structure it. Like there's an infinite amount of ways. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just here to please, please beg of you, have a plan, because you don't want to just see something go red and be like, well, I'm just going to hold it until it comes back, because it doesn't necessarily have to come back. Now with reference to CEI, it might. With that, for me to really comment on that, I would have to dive into their report, see if it's legitimate or not. I would have to dive into the commentary by Zach Morris, see if that's legitimate or not. I just don't know. So I can't like fairly tell you, oh, like this is done, or like, hang on, this is inappropriate. It's going to bounce. Give it time. I just don't know. So I don't want to sit here and give anyone false hope in either direction, because I'm sure some people watching right now are short. Some people are long. I just don't know enough about it. And for my own trading plan, I have enough other things to consider that CEI is probably just going to be something I don't end up trading. All right, let's get rid of all that now. IWM getting rocked. Is the SPY getting rocked? The market, like I said, looking spooky, folks. Looking spooky. AMC sub 36, GME sub 167. IWM coming up to a support at 218. Let's just really fingers crossed that it bounces there. Fingers crossed. Oops. All right. A little bit better to see what's going on. Lady Ape Lana D becoming a space ape. All right, we did that. Hang on, I'm just trying to catch up on everything. FAMI. Someone was asking about this. FAMI up 5% on the day. How's the chart look? Bouncing off of support. So off of that 30 cent, that was a nice risk reward setup. It shot up, took a breather. The risk was there. If it broke down below, you could have got out for a very small loss, but instead it's now bouncing. I would look for the continuation. I would feel way more comfortable if it one of these days can make that V shape and actually get that close above 40 cents. I only ask what you look at. Dates stocks were pumped on social media in relation to their current price. This is a ghost army tactic used in World War II. I only ask that you look at dates stocks were pumped on social media in relation to the current price. There are many, many pump and dumps out there. Like that's very much a thing. So when that Representative David Scott was talking to Gensler about like, I didn't fully agree, because he was acting as if like all social media is bad and we shouldn't have a public forum to discuss ideas as they relate to the market. I'm not going to agree with that wholeheartedly, but I do think that there are very, very nefarious players out there who their entire intent is to, through the thing of like, oh, I'm going to teach you about trading, I'm going to make you money. Their entire goal is to separate you from their money and line their own pockets. Now that I'm in, fortunately, the position I am, I hear more and more rumors from like down on the grapevine of very large people with a lot of influence who they just are commonly caught up in pump and dump scams. It's a thing. Like, I'm not here in any way to say, oh, no, pump and dumps aren't a real thing. They are very much a real thing. And if you notice one, we'll make money on the downside. Pump and dumps do not last. You pay attention to it, be like, this is a pump and dump. You wait for the dump to start, and then you make money on that. You can make money off of in fact, I love making money off of scams because they deserve to. Like, that's bullshit. You cannot do that. That stuff is illegal. It's manipulation. I am wholeheartedly against that, but I'm not That's an aspect of social media. It's very much an aspect. While I think a large amount of people who use social media are more so of like truthful, honest players, and I would hate for that to go away, because the amount I've even personally learned from people who are just sharing free information via social media, I would hate for that to go away, because like it's just a wealth of knowledge. So it's a fine line of like what is and isn't going on, and it just comes down to the fact that I think maybe I'm being naively optimistic, but I think a lot of people in this world are good, honest people who are just trying to better their lives and better their families' lives. But that doesn't go for everyone. There is what I would consider to be a minority of people who, for whatever reason, are representing a risk to the overall system for like most likely their own financial gains, and they don't give a shit of like who they hurt in the meantime. Sheeb is definitely running right here. I'm fine with that. I mean, I love the Voyager freebie that I got in Sheeb, and even Doge. So I have Doge and Sheeb, but I have Doge up because Adam Aaron obviously now accepting it as payment for those gift cards. But it seems like the dog-based meme cryptocurrencies, they're ripping. They are ripping huge gains. Sheeb is up 37%, Doge is up 2%, but look at these charts. Like the percentage is a bit weird because you have to use a better time frame when you're looking at it, since it trades 24/7. But crypto is a hot tamale right now, and I'm very, very happy with the gains in my crypto portfolio. Oh, Scorpion Capital, yeah, they were doing some awesome tweet, like they were releasing something. I'll have to check into that. All right, what else do we have going on? Ghost Army is about distractions, not pump and dump. Okay, I'll have to pump and dump is about distractions, not pump and dump. Yeah, I mean, so are you saying, I mean, it worked in war? I mean, do I think it's like just logically a thing that people like what in the history of war and stuff get distracted? Yeah. But this concept of people not being able to talk about another stock or another opportunity and just right away the community pile like distraction, that to me, that's not a good community. And in fact, if I see a quote unquote ape telling other people they shouldn't be in something, like that, to me, that's not an ape. To me, a core pillar of this movement is basically saying, don't tell me what to do with my money. Like that's like our, in a certain way, our fight against Wall Street and these elitists that they just think they know best. I don't see how it's any better when just some other random ape on social media, they're like, oh, I know best. This is what you should be doing with your money. I find that to be very, very off-putting. Considering transferring from Webull, but still hesitant. What are your thoughts on buying Intel? I mean, Intel is a nice semiconductor company. I like AMD and NVIDIA more, but I still like Intel. I don't know why you would be hesitant about transferring off of Webull. I don't see a downside to transferring off of it. Some DD on Prague. Direct share offering is going out as we speak. 15 million in volume already this morning, and there are only approximately 13.5 shares on offer based on their 20 million target against the $100.50 price. The price is still hovering $1.50, and the short interest is rising. Dropping in short interest of free float from 90% to 50% is caused by an increase in the free float shares. If Prague closes above $1.50 and the share offering is announced as over before noon, it will be insanely bullish. Expect huge volatility on announcement of a successful $20 million capital raise. Shorts are scared. This one hit all three of my short exempt squeeze signals yesterday. Good luck, homie. Shout out True Demon, dropping some DD. I appreciate you posting that in the Discord. I need to be off-putting. What's going on, Kinky Kong? Just an FYI, there are emails, inboxes circulating offering money to post FUD on multiple stocks from now until October 15th on all platforms. On that note, if you play Prague, I would say set up a stop loss just in case, but the metrics looks great. Even the flow has been bullish in the last 6 days or so. Shout out Wall Street Viking. Any issue holding shares in Webull until MOAS, but buying new shares elsewhere, payment for only full when you make a trade, right? Yeah, so like you have a very good point, Woody Wooderson. The issue would come in the scenario of like when you sell, that's technically still payment for order flow. But at that point, it's like, well, what's the weight of it? If you end up buying way more shares on, like, you don't have to transfer them off, but just know when you close that position, well, then once again, you're dealing with the scenario of payment for order flow to close that trade. Thoughts on SDC and Ortex, please. How is SDC looking? So SDC, I checked it this morning. It's still on the threshold list. It still has a decent short interest. I'll get you the exact number. Hang tight. Smile Direct Club. 46.5% with it. I mean, had a nice day yesterday. I would want to see a continuation up to $6 and pay attention to how Smile Direct Club reacts to $6. Currently trading at $5.74. I have no SDC position. How do I switch my Robinhood crypto over to Coinbase? You can't, because Coinbase, you legitimately own the coin, and on Robinhood, you don't. So you'd have to just sell on one and buy on the other. All right, I think we did all of this. Important to not chase Twitter price targets like the guy saying CEI $5 to $10. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting your basis off of what someone tweets, like that's not a good trading methodology at all, because most likely they just have a position and they're just hoping it goes there. When people put out price targets, I like, especially on things like Reddit and Twitter, some of them are good. It depends on the amount of DD and the quality of that DD, but I would say a large amount of it, it's just like people, they don't know what they're talking about. They just end up buying it and they're like, I think it's going to go here because it's going to go here. When I was researching that sheep video, I mean, I found people like very, very sure it's going to go to $1. And I was like, what do you mean it's going to go to $1? You're talking about one that has 400 million tokens out there, or trillion, 400 trillion. It would be not only worth more than Bitcoin, but it would make it worth more than all crypto put together. And they're just saying it. And I was like, okay, like I see the scenario in which like maybe if they burn a lot and you cut the supply and demand stays the same or goes up, that could help with the price. But I think sometimes people just throw numbers out there and they like to throw out nice round numbers with like no good thesis behind it. Like I said, that's not all of them. I've seen some very, very impressive write-ups on social media, but you got to dive into it. You got to find out if it's a high quality post or if it's just some random person, a nameless fake account, like a faceless, nameless account who's just doing it to get clout. Happy birthday, Mark. Your dad told me to change your oil before the weekend. Is BBIG a dead cat? Been in and out? Technicals. All right. How's BBIG looking? Trading at $5 flat. Oh, this breakdown on BBIG, I do not like. I would be watching $4. That was the rejection level at July 23rd. A little bit at 368. You're also watching 325. The fact that BBIG broke below the support, maybe it's a fake out breakdown. Like you if you want, you could give it a little bit of time, but that's not how I would have played it. The fact that it broke below 550, I had support. That would have been my risk point. I would have cut it. I didn't because I didn't have BBIG, but obviously it's in a downtrend. It didn't find demand. I was looking for this like trend line breakout to the top. Clearly it did not happen. If I was in BBIG, I'd be a bit worried from the technicals, but with it, maybe dive into the news, see what's going on. But the technical situation is not the best, but I'm not the most informed on the narrative behind it. ATER also not looking the best. It's at its low nines. ATER, you very much want to bounce here. If not, you're talking about $8. Do you think SHIB will hit 10 cents? I think it's going to be dependent on their burning mechanism and how much they decide. So it sounds like, according to the devs, they will be burning some coins, which will take it down. It depends on how much. It depends on, is SHIB a flash in the pan, or are people going to remain excited for it? But with it, when you get things that are really driven by crowd psychology and enthusiasm, I think it's absurdly silly to put a price target on it. I think price targets are more reasonable when you're doing a fundamental breakdown, but when you're talking about psychology, mass crowd psychology and excitement, I find that trend following is the best. That's exactly how I was actually able to make money on SPRT, on BBIG, just trend following. I never went into it with a price target of like, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit this. I would just ride the trend as long as it's intact. That's how I would play it, especially when it's a crowd psychology related movement. Hey Matt, look at took the grandbabies to see Venom. I showed them I had 5,000 shares of AMC and we all got free popcorn and drinks. I was treated like I was Adam Aaron. I owned the theater last night. I love that. And that's Duck Suspenders. That's so cool. I hope you had an awesome time with your grandchildren. Unfortunately, I still have not been able to see Venom. I'm hoping to have some free time this weekend, but time is an asset that I don't have much of lately, unfortunately. All right, AMC getting that bounce off of 35.70-ish all the way up to 36.40 right now. IWM, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? IWM, SPY looking heavy. So we saw this a little bit last week of when the market was selling, but at first it kind of damaged AMC and GME, but eventually, especially AMC, started to break that trend. So right now, I see heaviness in SPY. I see heaviness in the Russell, but AMC, like ever since 10 a.m., right before 10 a.m., it started to do its own thing, which is definitely noteworthy. What's the best source for DD? I don't think there's like an inherent source. I try to consume as much as I can. Recently, I've definitely been consuming less Reddit because I think it's pretty toxic. Sometimes I think Twitter can be that way, but I still do try to read both because sometimes you have to sift through a lot of shit to like find like a golden nugget, and sometimes it can really be worth it to the tune of a huge percentage gain or just like good information being shared. But with social media, especially within the ape community now being around for 10 months, you're starting, in my opinion, to see some very like malicious players and people who just try to spread FUD, people who try to start drama. I do see these clicks, like these mean girl clicks, and it's so stupid. It's such a waste of time. I look at it, I look at the drama, like the interpersonal drama, and it just, I don't know. It makes me feel like their brain is like they're not playing with a 52 card deck. I'm like, you're just wasting everyone's time. But with it, for DD, I guess it depends on the type of DD you're trying to do. If you're very interested in, I guess, like social sentiment stocks such as AMC, GME, CEI, all those ones, I think Reddit's good. I do think Twitter's good. There's usually some pretty active Discords. You could watch, Swaggy Stocks is the one that is doing like an analytical breakdown of Wall Street bets every day. That subreddit, that's interesting. Stock Twits, that could be good. So if you're looking for social sentiment ones, well, then you have to find the websites that track the actual social sentiment. But on the flip side, if you're looking for more of like a fundamental play, like what I would perceive Nvidia and Palantir to be, I like FinViz, I like Benzinga, I like Seeking Alpha sometimes. I don't like Seeking Alpha authors, but I do like Seeking Alpha in terms of like they give you all the statements, like all the fundamental statements, like the cash balance, the income, all of that. I like how that's laid out. Speaking of Benzinga, what's going, right here, Swaggy Stocks. This is what I was just talking about. This is the one that does the breakdown of Wall Street bets. So you can see what's most talked about. For example, today is Palantir. So this is kind of a cool tool just to see what is going on in that. There's various, usually it's one of those like spider web effects that like when you find one, like you end up finding more as like you just see more and more people talking about it. But overall, I don't think there's like one golden source. I think the more data you consume, the more opinions you consume. It's all a goal of being as informed as you possibly can be. Don't just stop at one thing. Don't just stop at my videos. Don't just stop at like YouTube in general. The bigger, the better. The more, the better. But yeah, I think Benzinga is really nice for like intraday stuff. Like as things are happening, I find myself checking this, be like, oh wait, like what happened politically? And you could just change your newsfeed to whatever you want. Obviously, I have AMC, GME, and then 3 of the major indexes. You could check whatever. Like if you want to see information on CEI, you would just type in CEI, and whatever the breaking news is, it would like kind of aggregate it for you. Camber Energy shares are trading lower on continued weakness following a short report on the company from Carisdale Capital. So I think it's cool. And I actually think they're running a free trial right now. If you, all the things I use are in the link of the video. All right, what do we have here? SPY trying to bounce. IWM also trying to bounce, but looking on a relative basis a bit weaker. Can you check Ortex and do a TA on Prague? All right, so we did the Prague one. It has a very high, but more importantly than that, not even the TA or the Ortex. It's more of the offering that's going on. So Stephen Daniel, if you're in PROG, that's definitely what you should care about right now is the offering that is currently taking place. It has a high short interest, but that's going to be changing because of the offering. Obviously, that's a dilution, which will make the short interest look less. And you also have the potential fundamental development of them announcing the dilutions over. And then previously when that's happened with AMC and GME, we've seen a very bullish reaction, but that's what, if I was paying attention to PROG, that's what I would specifically care about. PROG made an SEC filing dated October 5th regarding a stock offering to complete on or about October 6th. Estimated short interest as a percentage of free float will drop significantly as free float increases from 19.5% of shares outstanding to 33%. So if you're in PROG, I don't know how to make this more clear, be mentally prepared just to see that short interest number drop, but understand it's because of the dilution. Is there capital gains on crypto? Nikki, right now, it seems like every month the tax situation relating to crypto is very, very, very dynamic. It's changing. So with that one, I don't want to, I guess, lead you awry. I would always go on the basis that, yeah, you're going to pay capital gains on any asset class like that, but definitely reach out to a like certified public accountant or a tax professional. Matt, LCID calls. What would you look for a strike price and expiration? LCID expected to deliver vehicles in late October. I don't know about that delivery, but if that's true, I just play the November monthlies. LCID, I just look at it as a long-term stock investment. I haven't really traded options on it. Daily, I would want to get as close to 23 as possible, like just consolidation, support. So nice technical level around 23. And then if I did it, I would do at the money or a little bit out of the money. But I would give myself time. That's one of the biggest issues that I see with people. 2 issues I see in this community with options. One is people are doing these YOLO weekly plays when they're not day trading it. Like they're trying to swing it and play the weeklies. That's dangerous. And I also not all days are created equal to get options. They're just not. People think that like just whenever you see movement, that's a good time to get options. That's not true. You have to check the volatility. Do not be a victim of IV crush. How are you feeling about AMC and GME? What do you think we need some sort of catalyst to get that moving? Trying to stay patient, but been hard lately. With AMC and GME, I mean, obviously, I'm a bit discouraged just because they're not moving. Like the volatility has kind of dried up. But also, I understand that's a natural ebb and flow cycle of the market. You have periods of expansion, consolidation, and vice versa. So right now, it does seem like we're in a period of consolidation on both of these stocks. And it does seem like in the short time frame that the bears are currently in control. But we've been here before. We've seen these levels. We've seen it where like it sucks. In fact, that was pretty much like all of August, like half of July and all of August, and then it started moving again. It's a natural ebb and flow cycle. So for me, when I already know that I'm going to like basically just perpetually remain long on AMC and GME, that kind of, when things aren't moving, well, that's the time to learn and discuss other things. So like if I don't see them moving, okay, like I don't want that to emotionally distress me. So that's when I dive into learning about other things. Like yesterday I spent hours learning about sheep. Today I don't know what I'm going to learn about, but like if they're here, just me being a streamer on YouTube, 11,000 people, like with this community and stuff, like there's not enough money within this community to get a stock to get moving. So like we're kind of like that small minnow paying attention. We're watching all the big whales to try to see what's going on. And patience. It's very much becoming an emotional thing with AMC and GME. I know it's not a pump and dump because after the big movements in both of them, they would have gone back to their normal value. Neither of them have returned to their normal value. It tells me something else abnormal is going on in the background. And it also tells me that a lot of apes and maybe even non-apes, day traders, swing traders, high frequency traders, hedge funds, someone else is keeping the stock up as well on top of the apes. So it's just patience. Patience pays, and I do my best to not get emotionally distressed about a play if that's my trading plan. I have a trading plan for AMC. I have a trading plan for GME, and right now, nothing's hit. My risk for AMC and GME is 0, so I'm like, I know I'm not getting out, and then in terms of reward, well, I'm waiting for all the shorts to cover. That's my trading plan. I'm not saying that's a good trading plan. I'm just informing you that's my trading plan. I will not get out of my net long position on either of these basically until the MOAS, like till the shorts cover. And so I bet an appropriate amount based on my risk. The amount you should bet is never based on what you're looking for in the reward. It's based on what you're willing to lose. I've bet enough money that it's the max value at this current point in time, October 6th, that I'm willing to ride to 0. Every trade, I think of it that way of, okay, well, what's my risk? Like, for example, like if I'm trading another stock like Palantir, Tesla, I'm not risking 0 on those. I have levels of support that if it hits that, I'm going to get out. It just so happens my risk level on AMC and GME is 0. Yours might be something completely different, and that's fine. Like you're in charge of your trading account. I'm in charge of my trading account. I'm just informing you of like what my particular trading plan is. In fact, out of all of my trades right now, AMC and GME are the easiest plans. The plan is one sentence: risk 0, reward shorts covering. That's it. Other things when I trade them, IWM, SPY, Tesla, Palantir, any of these, they're much more complex of just like my entry criteria, my exit criteria, and I don't know. Hopefully that explanation like helps at least one of you out there. Someone said the shorts don't have to cover. Yes, they have to cover. They're not just going to carry a short position indefinitely until the day they die. That's for them to not cover. That's on the thesis that they have an infinite amount of money, which they don't, especially these hedge funds, because they continually have to pay the cost to borrow. The longer this goes on, the worse it is for anyone who is short because they're always paying that cost to borrow fee. Good morning. Can you check Sdc or Ortex data for us? Does it have potential? It has a short interest of 46.5%, but you shouldn't just look at that one metric. Like for SDC, I would want to see it get back above $6, close above $6. It would also be nice if it occurred on volume. It's very, I don't know. I think AMC and GME has gotten people wired to think that like, oh, if I just buy a highly shorted stock, it's going to work out. That's not true. In fact, the data shows that commonly the opposite is true, which is part of the reason why AMC and GME, part of the reason why they're so special. But if you think it's a viable methodology just to buy highly shorted stocks, you're going to end up losing money over the long term. Shorts are going to cover eventually. Hold AMC as long as you can and not financial advice. Shout out Regular Potato. A lot of potato-based names lately. What is going on with Webull that everyone is wanting to get rid of them and talking bad about them? It's just because of trading off exchange. that like Webull is trading through Citadel. Like if you trade on Webull, your order is being facilitated by Citadel, which inherently means it's happening off exchange. Trading off exchange, many people, like scholarly people who have an expert level knowledge of stock markets and stock market plumbing, argue there's way too much trading being done off exchange. It's not good. It's damaging to the markets. It's damaging to people engaging in the markets. Webull, if you trade stocks or options, that means you are trading off exchange through a market maker, not a dark pool. Those are two different things. You are trading through a market maker, and it's still off exchange though, which is not good. So that's why people are talking about things like Fidelity, E-Trade, TD, using their pro platforms where you get to route your orders. Same with IB. I think the easiest is through Public, which is why I talk about Public, just because you don't have to go out of your way to route it. If you look into Public, their own like write down, like their own info says we're getting away from payment for order flow, and we send our orders to exchanges. Crypto still looking good. Sheeb ripping, Bitcoin ripping, Ethereum ripping, Doge ripping, Solana not ripping but looking a little bit green now. Hex went below 40 cents. That sucks for me, but I think it'll come back one of these days. Cardano coming back to 225. Would love to see this. $3, $4, $5. I'm slowly but surely building out my crypto portfolio, and right now with just a rise in Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's been crushing it lately. Do you think going with a trading plan on any trade can help maximize profits? I think that you should only trade with a trading plan. There's no instance in which I think you should trade without a trading plan. I think there's no excuse whatsoever. Every single thing you do, you should have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, that's how you end up getting completely steamrolled in plays such as CEI. The people who are going to suffer the most from this and be the worst bag holders, as in like the biggest loss, are people who yesterday things happened, they were a deer in the headlights, they didn't know how to react, they just held on to it, and they got burned, which is why at its most, like, I guess, high level view, you have to have a risk reward setup before you get into a play. You can define that various ways, or you could do like a time hold, or you could do like, there's ways you could do it. Like, you just, at the highest level, what I should say, you just got to have a plan. I don't really care what your plan is. That's probably more so of a job for a financial advisor, which I am not. I'm here just to tell you, to beg of you to have some sort of trading plan. People are screaming ETH. ETH is looking good. I mean, I think ETH is on its way to, what is this? Well, it's at resistance right now. The region between 3,550, 3,670, if it breaks above that, we're talking 4K. But obviously, we just need to see if that breakout holds, or if it breaks and then holds. But Bitcoin and ETH looking good. So this is probably boding well for things like Riot, Mara, the Bitcoin mining stocks. All right, I think I'm all up to date there. Can you help us dig into Marinera stocks? We already in Tilray, MGNA, MJ, SNDL, CB. We are building our Marinera portfolio long term. Is there any other companies we are missing? Thank you. So there's actually quite a few more, but a lot of them are small. Like, I have two Marinera plays that I like: Tilray, TLRY as a company, and then MJ as the ETF. I'm a little hesitant with some of the smaller ones, just because when I get into a sector, I like to buy the leading company within that sector. And so MJ, I get exposure to the sector at large, and then Tilray, I would argue, is the strongest company within the sector, like as in an individual company. I wish I would have bought more. Oh, shout out Cootery, crushing it up 190% on Sheeb. I'm curious. And people are like, they're always going to freak out. This isn't me telling you to buy or sell Sheeb. This is just me asking you, could you drop a thumbs up if you own Sheen in comments, and then a thumbs down if you don't? I'm just curious how many people own it. I don't know how to make this more clear. I'm not telling anyone to buy. I'm not telling anyone to sell. I'm just curious where my audience is at. I just want to know, like, what you guys are into. Obviously, there's interest beyond just like the same two stocks we've talked about for the past 10 months. I mean, we're getting questions about Prague. We're getting questions about so many. Look at all those thumbs up. A lot of sheep people. Well, I hope you're making a lot of money. That makes, like, hey, if you're here, if you're a member of the Moon Gang, it puts the biggest smile on my face if you're making money. That's awesome. Like, I think it's weird. Like, people almost get attacked within this community if you made money on something else. Like, why? Like, shouldn't we be happy for each other? I'm super happy. I'm assuming a lot of you are up a stupid amount. Congrats. You deserve a congrats. You took a risk. It paid off. Awesome. I think that's so cool. Hold your head high. In Sheep video, I think it's worth clarifying. Vitalik only burned 90% of his tokens and donated 10% to the COVID relief fund. Higher Sheep prices saves lives. Shout out Adam. Thank you for that correction. Hey, Matt, can you check GROM volatility halt? So it shot up volatility halt probably so it dropped that 10% in way too quick of a time. What's this one? Social, what's the news on this? Why is it up so much? Let me see if I can find any news. The company yesterday pre-market announced its Curiosity Inc. media is in development with The Pirate Princess, a new original intellectual property franchise slated for global theatrical distribution. So that's the news on Groom. And it's also awesome. Like, this is why I like Benzinga, because you could so easily track this stuff down. But yes, volatility halt on GROM. When can I enter Sheeb? Not financial advice. I mean, I think you're far away from the risk. So like whatever your risk point is, like you have to bet accordingly. But it's been moving and I'm never a fan of chasing. How much am I up on my free Sheeb? I'm up a lot on it. Well, I guess it's pure profit, but even from the point here, I'll give you the info on it for the sake of transparency. Okay, so thus, I've been gifted, wait, what is this? So I have 31 million Sheeb that's been given to me. And at the point it was given to me, it was worth about $200. Like I said, I just like won a questionnaire thing on Voyager. Like the one day I was in an Uber, I got bored and they're like, oh, like, how do you like our platform? Click, 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 click. I filled out the questionnaire. A couple days later, I got some Sheeb and I am currently up 275%. So I made $544. So right now I was gifted 200. So basically I made $700 out of the ether, which I just think is so cool. Like so freaking cool. It's cool that I was gifted it. It's cool that it's running a lot. Like I said, I have 31 million, which is always fun to say. Be like, yo, I have 31 million. I'm like, whatever. But huge percentage gains. And I hope it's successful. I know a lot of people, obviously, that we saw are in here. Like so many people are invested. Why would I want to root against it? I'm not going to root against it at all. Like I hope so many people are in here. I hope you make a killing. I truly hope you make a killing on it. But with it, that doesn't mean just diamond hand it. Like have a plan. What's your plan? Like what are you going to risk? What are you not going to risk? Here is, if I could get this to show up. Here's the 15-minute. I mean, I think right now it's cooling off a bit, which is interesting. I think a reasonable risk point is somewhere, I don't know, whatever these values are. I would look at the previous support resistance. That would be a region. You have additional one. Like this would probably be the most extreme risk. Down 0.00001 from where it is right now. But you could still do the technicals on this stuff. But what I do see is a cup and handle. From a technical perspective, I see a cup, a handle, and then another little baby handle, whatever you want to call it. But this is, from a technical perspective, it's interesting. Cup, handle, and then hopefully an explosion. From a technical perspective, I mean, it's super cheap, and I hate when things are like this cheap of a price. Like, I'm not a fan of that. It's just kind of difficult to say. But currently trading at 24. Yesterday when I made that video, it was at 19, my Sheeb update video. So it's crushing it since then. But that also, like, don't be the person who's going to end up, like, I don't know what it's going to do. I hope it breaks out for a lot of people in here. I know you also hope it breaks out, but that doesn't mean I'm just going to arbitrarily diamond hand it. I guess for mine particularly, I could, just because it was given to me anyway. So, like, no love lost. But in terms of just like, if it wasn't gifted to me, and if we were talking about whatever it is, like, forget the fact that this is Sheeb. Like, I like the cup and handle, and usually that does favor the bulls. It does favor the breakout, but it doesn't mean that it's a riskless scenario. Got 154 mil of those mofos. I'd invested 55 in Sheeb. Now I'm sitting at nearly 200 USD. Shout out. But 22.5 mil for starters. I'm in the wave, up 60%, and haven't been in too long. Make money is the point, right? Shout out, Mr. Boulay, my guy. Congrats. Congrats. Can you please pass along to your daughter that I need her to play and purchase more things on Roblox so my Roblox stocks does better? And actually, in fact, if any of you out there play Roblox, or if you have children who play it, if you could ask them to play it more, and if you could like also give them more of an allowance so they can spend more money on it, it would directly benefit me. So thank you. You think your Sheep story is cool? Charlie Bucket found some money in the gutter and won a candy empire along with an army of magical little people. Matt Kohrs is totally real 10K run. I got your email, by the way, about the faded shirt, and I think a new one should be sent out to you. But if that doesn't come very, very shortly, don't hesitate to reach out to me again. Nice eyebrows. I sold my Sheep for my bills. Thank you for the eyebrows. These caterpillars, you mean? Hey, but also you paid your bills. Think about how crazy that is. Just from a random game of numbers on the screen, you were able to pay bills. That's crazy. Like, conceptually, I love it. What are your thoughts on Roku moving up to 350, 360 over the next month or so? So Roku, I do like it. I'm a big fan, mainly just because this stock rips. Right now, here's Roku. Sorry. Hang on, let me go back to this. Nice area of support. Very, very nice setup. Like, check this out. It's at 316. If you wanted, you could risk 280. You're getting some bullish divergence in the RSI, and you could ride this puppy all the way up to 485. Talk about a nice medium to longer term risk reward setup. Roku is crushing it right now. What a beautiful setup. You risk $30 for the potential of 160. That is a 5-to-1 risk reward setup. I like it, especially if you look into Roku. It's also like a pretty awesome, fundamentally well established company. I'm a fan, and I'm specifically a fan of what's going on right now. To clarify, I don't believe I own any, but I'm trying to point out, you always weigh out your risk reward. What you could do is you could just say, okay, this is my current risk, 373, which would mean you're risking about $45, $40. And if you have a longer time frame, you could say, hey, I want to see if it's going to test 490, 500. Not a bad deal. And what I really want to point out to you is, as it's selling off, the RSI is getting a bit higher. That is bullish divergence. And if you want to play it really tight, you could just risk 393. You could be like, okay, if it goes below that, I'll cut it, and you could try again. I don't think I own any right now. I'm pretty sure I don't. If I do, it's going to be a small position. But in just terms of teaching technical structure, you're also in a bit of a bull flag. If you wanted to wait, you could wait for this trend line break, just a little bit of confirmation. Obviously, you'll get a little bit of a higher fill, but you're going to be more secure in your bet. But to answer your question of 350, 360 over the next month, I don't like to put that time constraint on it. I see bullishness. I see a good opportunity in Roku. What do you think about Affirm and Lemonade? So I do like the Affirm kind of partnership going on with Amazon. Interesting. I would not need to dive a little bit more into the numbers. Lemonade was one of my best trades. LMND. It's an AI-based insurance company. They're trying to disrupt the industry, which is an industry that needs to get disrupted. It was one of my best trades of late 2020 when it was ripping. I don't know what the chart even looks like right now. Yeah, not the best, but also coming up to a nice risk reward point. You want kind of like Roku, it's selling off, but now you have bullish divergence in the RSI and your support's close at 59. I never ever know if a stock is going to bounce, break out, break down. I never ever know. You don't know. No one's going to know unless you have some weird inside information. All I can do is I can take a shot at a key level and then just hope that it breaks in my way. So even if you're right or wrong 50% of the time, like just flipping a coin. But if you always have an optimal risk reward, basically better than 1-to-1 in your favor, over the long term, you're going to be profitable. That's, I think, one of the easiest ways to think about trading. Whether a bounce or breakdown, flip a coin. But if your risk reward is there over the long term, over enough data points, you will be profitable. Hi, Matthew. Any chance you could dig into GRNQ? I can write that down. Oh, shoot. Where's my pen? GRNQ. GRNQ. Okay. Can you explain why SHIB is unlikely to hit 0.01, but Doge can with unlimited coins? I'm a bit confused on this aspect. Because you have to look at the current circulating supply is like the big difference, Russell, at like the top level. It's whenever you have more of a supply, think about it as baggage. Like you just have more baggage, and you really what you need to look at is the value of the asset, the total value. So that's why in stocks, you talk about things like market cap. That's why in crypto, you talk about things like market cap. You take the supply. So in stocks, it's the shares outstanding multiplied by the price. And that's how you get the market value of the entire company. So with this one, you would look at the circulating tokens in the case of SHIB, and you would multiply it by 1 cent, and you would see the value of it. And as you go up from 1 cent to 10 cents to $1 or to whatever people are calling out, you're going to see that at a certain point, the market cap becomes unreasonable. It's very, very bad just to compare the price of things. It's horrific to compare the price of things. For example, what's a good example? Roku. Let's just talk about Roku again. Roku is trading at $315 and it has a market cap of $42 billion. Well, you know what's trading at about half of that? Apple. Apple's trading at 140, but it has a market cap of 2.3 trillion. To simply compare prices of things, it's not a good way to compare. You have to compare the overall value of the company or the asset class. And to do that, you look at the amount of the supply multiplied by the price, and you get the total value. So right now with Doge, you're referring to the fact that it's inflationary, of there's more and more, but you can still look at the current supply, and you take the current supply multiply by the price, and that's how you get the overall value. I know it's a while off, but after watching Venom 2, I think December is going to be huge for AMC. Well, there's other big movies coming out. Isn't Eternals coming out? And then Top Gun 2 with Tom Cruise. There's like a host of good movies coming out. Like we're kind of getting into like, I guess like more of a movie season. Thoughts on Voyager? I'm a fan of Voyager. I don't have their crypto coin, but I like it as a brokerage. The UI is very, very intuitive, very, very easy to use. And on Prague right now, like you're just kind of waiting for. My prediction on Prague is you're waiting around until they announce that the share dilution's over. And from a technical standpoint, I want it to get above and close above $1.56, ideally on volume. Hey brother, Wrench had a video last night talking about RSI and CCI on AMC chart. What exactly is CCI? Oh, CCI. It's commodity. Shoot, what is it? It'll come to me. I think it's Commodity Channel Index, CCI. It's another technical indicator. It was originally made, obviously, for the world of commodities, but it's a cyclical indicator. It's just tracking the cycles of things. We all know that like cycles are very, very common and easy to point out across stocks, indices, commodities, cryptos. Cycles are like one of the like most obvious and commonly traded indicators and really trading patterns within all markets. And that's just like an indicator that helps point out cycles. Is it worth watching? I don't use that one that much, but I do like patterns. Like I like seasonal patterns. I like to see just like time patterns of like, okay, like at the end of the month, this does this one does this. You're going to find time-based patterns all over. So I'm a big fan of diving into that. I just don't really use CCI that much. What do you think about BitClout since you suffered from YouTube? BitClout. What's BitClout? It wasn't BitClout a scam? Wasn't that thing where they like signed people up and like the creators had value or something? Something like that. I don't even know what BitClout is really. All right. What else do we have? Sheeb originally advertised as Doge Killer back when Doge was number 5. Bad move when Doge has a community. That's the whole beef. Yeah, so it advertised as that. So this is why I recommend checking out that Sheeb video I made yesterday. It's my most recent upload. But Sheeb was created in August of 2020, and then it started to get some traction in early this year in 2021 when Doge was starting to go haywire. And at first, it's just said, we're the Doge killer. It was just another meme coin. But as things have developed this year, it's done its best to get out of the world of being a meme coin. It's creating an entire ecosystem. I recommend that everyone, if you're in Sheeb or you're interested in it, definitely if you're in it, you got to look into Shiba Swap. That's kind of their DeFi exchange. And with it, you could see the ecosystem of these other tokens such as Bone and Leash. And you could see that providing liquidity, you get some prizes and kickbacks. You could stake. They're now rolling out NFTs. Doge has not been doing that. Doge is still running on like community enthusiasm, and I know that they have some things coming down the pipeline. I'm just talking about like what we have right now in reality, and the developers behind Sheeb and the community behind Sheeb has taken it in the direction of like, I guess, being more serious. And which is weird because like I admit it, I pushed it off when people first started telling me about Sheeb. I was like, this is stupid. It's another meme coin. That was my argument. How many times have you heard me say, oh no, like I think they're going to have a hard time pulling away people from Doge because Doge is already the bigger, more well-established community. I've said that at least this many times, but in my own video, I was like, hang on, so many people are asking me about it. I'm being biased myself. Like, and we all have those problems. I looked into it. I was like, oh, I think I know what's going on. I'm going to run my mouth, speak inappropriately. And I did that. And do I feel a little bit stupid? Of course, because I always view myself as the person saying, hang on, let's not be biased. Let's dive into it. And once again, maybe it's because it was a crypto and like I wired myself to think that about stocks. But hey, folks, I'm human. I'm right there with you. And when I dove into it, I was like, oh, whoa, it's not simply just calling itself a Doge killer just to be another meme coin. It started that way, undoubtedly started that way. But I guess I'm man enough to admit that, be like, oh, no, I should have looked into it before I said so many things about it, because I looked into it. I was like, oh, holy shit, these devs are like actually kind of trying to build a true project here, which I think is an important thing to, I guess, really note when you're comparing it with Doge. But with it, I have to do that, especially here because it's like just YouTube and it's social media. But if you're sitting there and you're in that spot, you gotta be that way because that's how you make money in the market. Anytime I notice myself being biased, whatever, just thinking I know something when sometimes I don't, or if I just have a preconceived notion about something, it typically relates to me losing money or not making as much money as I can. I think that's something that we all have to get over in our head. Do you know how much life would be better, like in your own life, your familial life, your relationship, society at large, if people could just once in a while be like, oh, sorry, I was wrong. Like, people have a strong indifference to admitting when they're wrong. And I get it. Like, no one wants to ever be wrong. But when it comes to the world of money and trading and your financial decisions related to the market, that's one of the biggest things you're going to have to battle. And the earlier you get over that, the better it is. 100%. Sheep, the amount I pushed it off, because I just thought, I was like, oh, it's a stupid meme coin, and I didn't give it the light of day, has now cost me money because I could have got in earlier. But now I can't because I don't want to chase. So my own, just like the way my brain was wired, I messed it up. And I hopefully that's a learning lesson for me. And the next time people are like, yo, check out this random ass coin, most of them are going to be bullshit. But now this is the lesson for me that they're not all bullshit. And it cost me money. I could have made more money. It is what it is. You take the lesson, you swallow the pill, and you move on to the next one. But hey, in the meantime, GME is popping. 166 up to 172. That's nice movement right here. AMC looks like Wyckoff accumulation pattern since June highs. The pattern shows institutions fatiguing retail out in order to buy as many shares as possible as low. Shout out Fudd Swatter Foster. SDC. Shout out for Jane Dots. Someone said SDC is starting to squeeze. My question is, how do you know it's starting to squeeze? Ooh, it's above that 601. This could just be buyers, though. Just so, you don't know if it's a squeeze until basically 2 days later. There's really no way to know real time unless you have knowledge of these hedge funds getting squeezed out. But I was calling out 605. What's the volume at? It's at 10 million, but it's only 1050. So it's going to exceed its own 10-day average. Getting above 605, we have a short interest of 46.5%. That's awesome. I need to be explicitly clear. I have no SDC position, so I hope what I say about it is as unbiased. That's kind of my goal here. I'm sometimes I feel like I'm being a bit too biased. This one, I'm doing my best to call it how I can. I thought the play ended back here. That was the only time I really I felt super confident about SDC was back here September 14th. I was like, gap fill. Then from there it went up. It was in a very, very obvious bull flag. It shoots up, parallel channel down. It started to create a V. I wanted confirmation, and the fact I think full confirmation of a change of trend is a close above 605, or just these low sixes. We could call it 612 if you want to call this out. Basically, just think of the low sixes. If we close above basically where we're at right now on volume, that's good. It has the things it needs. It's on the FTD short squeeze list, or the FTD, threshold list. Obviously, there's buyers in it. It's definitely interesting. Can you take a look at CEI short interest? I can, but that's not going to give you much info. It's 44.88%. Still getting rocked though. There's just more sellers than there are buyers. There's more supply than there is demand right now. The Kohrs, what is it? Whatever that hedge fund was that tweeted about it yesterday, I don't know if they're right or wrong, but it definitely rocked the stock. How is ANY doing? ANY is even starting to pick back up. Here we go. 760. Watch ANY. This is a quiet one, but slowly but surely getting back to some serious action. If crypto keeps going up, look for ANY to keep going up. Oh wait, hang on. Oh, wait, this is the one that the Ortex data always looked weird. But the shares on loan, not necessarily short, is coming in at 14 million, which I think puts the short interest around 15%. I would need to double check that, though, just because the Ortex data seems a bit wonky on this one. Looks like I'll have to do some calculations myself. Let me double check this. Let me get you like more of a reasonable estimation of what ANY short interest is. 58.8 times 0.86. Nope. 5.9. All right, 50 mil. 14. It's probably like, this is a rough estimate, but the low 20% I think is a fair estimate. So like somewhere probably between 20-25% short interest on ANY. But in terms of its chart, I like that they couldn't, like, look at this beautiful support. 560 support, finally bending back around. Look for it to get above 760. Above 760, this thing could really get moving. In fact, can I just set this as alert? I want to make this an alert because above this thing could get moving. ANY. I'd patience, but I'd be paying attention to it for sure. Faux show. It's up 200%. HTZZ. So when it's up that much, that most likely means I'm not going to trade it. I don't want to. Yeah. This is looking good, and maybe you get a cup and handle, like it's at it, or maybe it just keeps ripping. But I mean, 19, the risk isn't too bad on Hertz. Oh wait, but it trades on the gray market, so I wouldn't trade it. It's not on the like quote unquote normal stock market, so I wouldn't trade it because of that. But the chart, I mean, I would have preferred to get in earlier, but it's still decent. Where can I buy Shiba? If you want Shiba, you can easily get it on Voyager. I mean, you could download this app right now. The code is right above my head, and right here's Shiba. Right there, Shiba Inu. If you're trying to get in on the Shiba game, I do ask you, please be careful, mind your risk. I don't want anyone chasing, and that kind of comes down to the definition of like, what are you actually going to risk? But if you're trying to get in on the Shiba game, it's super easy to download Voyager and put in that code right above my head, Matt21. Crypto is strong. You can get Shiba on Webull. Not really. You don't actually own it there. I'm at the point where I don't do any buying on Webull or Robinhood. I'm just kind of done with them at this point. Unless something changes with them, why would I do that? You buy crypto on well-established crypto brokerages and exchanges, and you buy stocks on well-established non-payment for order flow, like access to lit exchange trading for stocks. What about New York City people? Coinbase Pro. He probably already owns Shiba Psychology Tactics. I do own it. We've talked about that. I've been very, very upfront about it. And I was gifted it by Voyager by doing a questionnaire. And I'm not really buying anymore because it's too far away from my risk. But if there's a dip and then I see buyers step back in and push that dip back up, maybe I'll get in. But I don't think that's likely. I think there's too much momentum behind it right now. But I'll keep you posted. What else do we have? Is SDC still ripping faces? It is. Congrats. Congrats on the Smile Direct people, the people trying to get those pearly whites. GM. You have puts on it. If I were in GM puts, I would be risking 55.64, but I have no position. It is an interesting gap fill play to 53.38, which is about 50 cents below. And then from there, I would be watching 52.18. Just super basic levels of support resistance. The run up looks a little bit heavy, but that's how I would play it. But when I'm talking about vehicle creators, like I just like Tesla and Lucid more because I just know way more about them. Where do I find open and previous close on TradingView? I usually just scroll back and look at the close. You could also just highlight it, and then the numbers come up on the top here. So like highlight the day you care about, so you can see the open, high, low close of any day. So the previous day, it closed at 37.06 on AMC. The numbers come up on the top here. Oh, this is TradingView, my emoji trading. So I finally switched out the pin chat to the top. So if you want emoji trading, I think it's a free 30-day trial on this, and they have the different like levels. So if you want emoji-based trading, it is pinned to the top of chat. And no harm, no foul. You could try it out. If it's for you, cool. If not, also cool. I use Webull for crypto options and stocks. Why should I leave Webull? Well, for options and stocks, payment for order flow. So you're getting like raked over the coals on your trade execution. And for crypto, you never actually owned crypto, like ever. There's no wallet. There's no wallet capabilities. You own a fancy IOU, and it commonly trades at a different price. Like you just, in terms of crypto, you don't have ownership. That's why you need to look at things such as Voyager, Coinbase, Gemini, KuCoin, Gate.io, Uphold. It's so easy to sign up, and it's so much better. And then for your stocks and options, you're just actively engaging in payment for order flow, which I would strongly argue is damaging to the market. It's weird to me that people identify as apes and like will tweet about manipulation and it being messed up. And with what we know now, like, how can you bitch and moan about manipulation then when you're trading on brokerages that assist that manipulation and make it more easy? To me, it's such a backwards argument. Where do you trade options? So options, I don't know of a brokerage you can avoid payment for order flow. Very, very popular ones, like I would say the most highly rated ones are probably TD Ameritrade, TDA. Like their Thinkorswim platform is very, very powerful. Interactive Brokers is good. But I mean, I've done it on E-Trade. E-Trade's good. E-Trade seems to have more tech issues. I've never traded options on Fidelity, but maybe they're good there. But in terms of options, very, very difficult. I actually don't know of a way to avoid payment for order flow when trading options. All right. AMC currently trading at 35.92. GME currently trading at 170. IWM bouncing back around. SDC looking strong. Remember, SDC, you are looking, what was that level I called out? Close above the low sixes is very good for SDC. Crypto ripping. SHIB, like basically a bull pennant right here. It shot up. Higher lows. It's looking hungry. ETH 3,600, Bitcoin 5,500, 55,000. Cardano also waking up. This is looking very, very strong. Crypto's ripping. We're looking for the markets to bounce back in terms of IWM and SPY. So hopefully the support is found at the associated levels, and it truly does end up moving from there. In terms of the Ortex numbers, just so you know, on AMC and GME, AMC, they borrowed 880,000, short interest 20.62. GME, they borrowed 35,000, but there is a net return today, short interest just below 15%. So that's what I have for you today. Obviously, no matter what you do, I beg of you, stick to your trading plan, mind your risk, mind your reward, stick to your trading plan. I will be posting an update video or two. Remember, there's two channels, Matt Kohrs and Kohrs Lite. It's just more of like a YouTube algorithm thing. I post on both of them. Check them out. I'll kind of interlace the content between the two, so I recommend checking them both out. If you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you could drop a like. It does help me out with the algorithm. And if you want to be a member of the Moon Gang, don't forget to subscribe. It is completely free. Once again, that type of engagement does help me out with the algorithm. I'll be doing 1 or 2 update videos today, and then of course I'll be streaming the show tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. But overall, stick to your trading plans. Thank you for all the support today. I will be catching you later on today. And as always, remember, from me and Chair, best of luck in the markets.